Welcome to Arkansas Wildlife. We're headed into the prime time of Arkansas's duck season, and on this week's show, we're going to go out on an Arkansas youth waterfowl hunt. This week, we'll also take a look at moist soil units, an important type of waterfowl habitat that's playing a bigger role on game and fish wildlife management areas. All that and this week's winner of an Arkansas hunting and fishing license right after this break. Arkansas Wildlife is brought to you in part by Academy Sports and Outdoors. For all, for less. Every year, my friend T.L. Lauerman from Mountain Home calls me. Probably every year for the last 10 years he's called and said, I'm putting together a youth hunt. He does this every year and always invites us to bring the camera, and we've joined him a couple of times, but this was a really special opportunity to go to a place called Fowler's Point, a fantastic duck club not far off the White River in the Raft Creek Bottoms. We have 2 youth waterfowl days here in Arkansas, one in December and then one the first weekend in February after the regular season closes. And this youth waterfowl hunt was that February hunt, Saturday, 1 week after the regular duck season closed. You could tell right off the bat that this was going to be a perfect morning. Rode the side-by-sides out to the hole, parked on the levee, got everything unloaded. Had to crack through a little bit of light ice in this moist soil unit, but you could tell it was going to be such a great morning. That orange glow in the eastern sky, the silhouettes of ducks, and just as we were walking in, man, you could just see them everywhere. They were just falling in all around us. You knew it was going to be a special morning. We had 4 kids on this hunt. I even brought a kid, a friend of mine's son named Warren Hurd, who it would have been his last opportunity to hunt as a youth because he's 16 now, but he was 15 at the time. Another good friend of mine was there in the hole with us, Brad Allen, who is the founder of Elite Duck Calls and a 3-time world champion duck caller. So these kids were in very good hands as far as somebody getting the birds to sit down in front of.
Hit that drake.
This club encompasses a few thousand acres in the Raft Creek Bottoms, primarily moist soil habitat. So we were hiding in some buckbrush and some willow trees in an open area. And let me tell you, the birds had not been pressured very hard. It wasn't long until they were flying around, and pretty soon it was a steady stream of ducks working into the hole on a beautiful morning in East Arkansas. It was just an incredible show we were watching. I mean, what a spectacle to see all these ducks coming in. And I'm talking mallards, gadwalls, teal, we had some widgeon. One of the coolest things that happened this morning was these big groups of pintails that were actually working into our decoys. If you've hunted ducks very long in Arkansas, you know sometimes pintails are they're just a little wary. They don't really work like mallards and other species do, but we had some big groups of pintails that were just coming right into the decoys, and God, man, what a sight to see. I don't know if these kids realize how lucky they really were to have Brad there with us. And you know, Brad's not only just good technically on a call, but he knows how to read ducks like most good duck callers do. And you know, to have him there and to share his time with these kids was just incredible.
Got him that time.
These kids got to experience so much on this hunt. You know, number one, I've never experienced hunting in a place quite like where we were. It was just incredible, the number of birds. And not a lot of hunting takes place in moist soil units. More and more is, but just that experience, it's a different environment from hunting in a field or hunting in flooded timber. Another thing they got to experience was the dog working. TL's dog, Black Lab, Jaws, was a fantastic dog and really got to do a lot of retrieving. Once the kids started shooting, they started knocking birds down, and Jaws made some beautiful retrieves. And in that early morning light, just a gorgeous scene for these kids to remember for a lifetime.
Welcome back to Arkansas Wildlife. We've been watching a fantastic youth waterfowl hunt on a private land moist soil unit in eastern Arkansas. We're going to get back to that hunt in a few minutes. But first, when it comes to moist soil units, some of the best examples are on Arkansas Game and Fish Commission wildlife management areas, where Game and Fish is managing close to 9,000 acres to provide waterfowl food and, in many cases, opportunities for duck hunters.
Despite significant losses over the past century, Arkansas has more forested wetlands than most parts of the Mississippi River Delta. And there's certainly no shortage of agricultural lands in the natural state. But there's another important waterfowl habitat that's in much shorter supply.
Really, the early successional annual plant communities found in moist soil habitats is really what's missing across most of the Delta, and arguably a lot of areas where ducks winter and migrate. Generally, it kind of goes back at the highest level to providing a complex of different habitat types within a geographic area to meet all the needs of waterfowl over the fall and spring migration periods and the wintering periods.
Just as people need a variety of nourishment for a healthy diet, migrating ducks require diverse food sources to meet their nutritional needs.
Waste grain and ag fields does provide decent amounts of food, energy at least, but it's almost entirely carbohydrates. It's not really a very complex diet. Moist soil wetlands can provide complex carbohydrates, they can provide gross energy, just straight calories, and they can also provide a lot of essential amino acids, different proteins, higher protein levels than in, say, corn or rice, and the complex plant structure, actually just the leaves themselves, the vegetative structure in moist soil wetlands is typically a lot more diverse than in agricultural habitats. So you end up getting a lot better substrate for invertebrates, bugs to grow on, and a lot of times throughout the winter ducks are really keyed in on eating bugs, although that's not really commonly talked about as much. They do eat a lot of invertebrates throughout their life cycle, and that includes while they're down here in Arkansas.
The good thing about the native patch is we can grow a wide range of bugs in it because we can manipulate that. You can put that structure down on the ground. You can literally put it down on the ground, put some water on it, within 24 hours, come back and pick it up, and it will be moving. There's that much bugs in there.
Jason Jackson is the Game and Fish Commission's Wetlands Program Coordinator, leading the agency's charge to create quality moist soil habitat on wildlife management areas. But when you spend time in the field with Jackson, he often sounds less like a wildlife biologist and more like a farmer.
26, 25 John Deere, so it's 26 foot wide working with, and that's behind that 82, 85 tractor, which is 285 horsepower tractor.
Instead of typical agricultural crops such as rice and corn, Jackson oversees an operation that grows crops of millet, smartweed, sedge, and springletop.
We're growing duck food on every square foot of this stuff, where we can.
Moist soil habitat, the way we look at it, is a whole lot more than just some non-forested area that happens to flood in the winter. They are not something that you can just set aside as a non-forested wetland and say, yeah, that's moist soil habitat and lots of ducks ought to come here. It's just not going to happen. You've got to really invest in it, and Arkansas Game and Fish Commission has invested heavily in that, knowing that you get out of it what you put into it.
Arkansas Game and Fish has intensified its management efforts over the past decade, embarking on several large-scale infrastructure projects to improve water management. The agency also has upgraded equipment and dedicated staff to maintaining moist soil areas. By devoting more resources in the form of both manpower and money, Game and Fish is growing a lot more groceries for waterfowl.
We've gone from, let's say, 500 pounds per acre production on these areas to something where we can regularly get 1,500 to 2,000 pounds per acre on intensively managed habitats. Compare that to other habitat types. Harvested rice fields, they're producing 50 to 100 pounds per acre.
Waterfowl managers use a unit called a duck energy day to calculate how much a particular area can support a duck's daily energy needs. Because moist soil wetlands are highly variable in food production, duck biologists assign these habitats an average of 1,800 duck energy days per acre. Put another way, on average, 1 acre of moist soil habitat can support 1,800 ducks for a day, 180 ducks for 10 days, or hypothetically, 1 duck for 1,800 days.
We think we're pushing that up 2 to 4 times greater than that on intensively managed lands on WMAs now that we're getting fully equipped. It's one of the most productive acre per acre habitat types we're able to manage for.
The main focus may be providing food for ducks, but moist soil areas also provide opportunities for hunters. And while some, such as Biometa WMA's Hollowell Reservoir, are set aside as rest areas, others are open to hunting.
Hunting opportunities on some of these moist soil areas can be really, really good. Raft Creek is a great example, Frog Bayou, Ed Gordon. Those areas have phenomenal hunting opportunity when the conditions are right. Now it's completely different, so I think there's a bit of a learning curve involved. It's a different way of going about things, but when it can be good, it can be really, really good on these areas.
can see, these kids soon got the hang of what we were trying to do, and that was, you know, stack up some ducks, the last chance of the season on this youth hunt. And it was pretty funny. One of the last ducks that rounded out our limit, the kids were shooting straight up in the air, and one of the birds fell into one of the willows just right there next to us. And it was kind of a humorous moment right there for a minute.
That's putting it on right there. That's what it's all about. But the only thing I criticize you on is you put it in that tree. You could have, if you next time try to put it right here. Put it right here. It's a little bit easier.
Completely vertical. I know I hit that one. I got that green head there. Ooh.
We got 2 mallards right here and 3 beautiful pintail drakes over there in the boat. That's 5, so we're 1 duck shy of 4 limits. So we can kill 1 more duck.
All in all, a fantastic way to end waterfowl season with an incredible youth hunt. I know those kids are not going to forget that experience. I didn't even get to pull the trigger, and I'm not going to forget that experience. I want to say thanks to Bob Miller, the founder of Fowler's Point Duck Club there, for letting us come in and experience just really the hunt of a lifetime. I hope we didn't set the bar too high for these kids, because every day's not like this, but I know that's going to keep them coming back and duck hunting for many years to come.
Arkansas Wildlife presents the Watch and Win giveaway. During each episode of Arkansas Wildlife, we'll give away an Arkansas resident hunting and fishing license. At the end of this season, we'll be giving away $500 worth of hunting gear with everything you need for your next hunting adventure. It's all provided by Academy Sports and Outdoors. Visit the Arkansas Wildlife webpage and enter at arkansaswildlife.com. This week's winner is Sharon Kendrick from Fayetteville. Congratulations and thanks for watching.